Hello, everybody. My name is Jo Kearns. I'm doing something a little bit different. Kind of putting myself out there, crawling out of my shell, so to speak. And the reason I'm doing this is because recently a few things have happened, and I would like to take the time to address and educate. I want to talk about a topic that is extremely important to all of us that are fans, and I do apologize. I don't have a teleprompter, so I'm kind of reading as I go so I don't miss any important parts. A lot of us are fans, and fans of different things. We can be fans of a celebrity. We can be fans of a TV show, Chicago PD, Chicago series. We can be fans of books. Trust me, there's fan sites for books. We can be fans of video games, movies, celebrities, everything. So it is important for us to take the time to make our fandom safe places in our community. And so I am here to help inform and to empower you over the next few months on my blog site, The Living Tree Company, livingtreeco.com, livingtreeco.com, write that down. I will be putting up some special posts that will be focused on digital safety, emotional well-being, and, I'm here to guide you through some facts, emotional impact, and practical steps that you can take to make our fandom a safer place. And with that said, few things I'm not. Okay? I am not a lifeline to any of the stars that are attached to Chicago PD. I've never physically met anybody from the show. And even if I had, I still would not be a lifeline. I'm a very private person, and I will ask that you respect that. Do not message me to see if I can get a message to somebody or anything like that, because that's not who I am. That's not what I'm going to do. I'll never try to obtain money from you. I'll never try to sell you something that would pertain to any of the shows. I do write books. I'm a writer. I'm an author. You can find those on Amazon.com. So you can buy them there. I'm not going to promote them through you guys. I'm here for a different reason. I'm here to educate you and to help you understand the scammers, how they operate, and what you can do to keep yourself safe. So with that said, let's start with some of the basics here. Scammers, romance scammers in particular, which I have been following and studying and learning about for the last over 5 years, are deceptive criminals. Their scheme is to be potential romantic partners online. They try to pretend to be a celebrity's son or daughter, mom. I've even seen some scammers try to be an individual's mom, sister, brother, wife, even though the person may not even be married. So they will try to take on a lot of different personalities, personas to scam you and to get you to believe that they are somehow associated with a particular celebrity. They can even pretend to be the person's manager, and they handle them. And hey, I'm reaching out to you because we're reaching out tonight to all of his favorite fans. Yeah, no. Okay. So these scammers join the fandom communities, the fan groups. They even make their own fan groups and have kind of like a nest of fans. So you have to be careful with that. And they're going to be blending in by pretending to have the same interests that we have, the same passions that we have. But their goal is to gain our trust and to eventually exploit it and to gain financial compensation from us. Romance scams in particular and other online frauds are skyrocketing. According to the Global Scam Alliance, scams cost over $1 trillion globally in just the last 12 months. $1 trillion. Sorry about that. In the U.S., the Federal Trade reported $12.5 billion lost to fraud. I have actually heard up to $15 billion. And specifically romance scams, the FBI says 1.2 or 3 billion was lost in the U.S. last year alone, in the last 2024, with global losses estimated 4.8 billion. Here's the thing that we need to remember. Due to the humiliation, the shame, the embarrassment, 90% of individuals that are scam do not report the scam. 90%. So the numbers are actually much higher. And the thing that I really like the first time that I went into like One Chicago Fandom group, the excitement. They're about trust and connection and getting the fans to talk. I didn't used to, but now I go in usually on Thursday nights. I do look for scammers, but I also look at what everybody's saying about the show that was on the night before. You know, what were their feelings? What were their thoughts? It's kind of interesting. But all of this makes us prime targets. Because the scammers come in and like I said, they have the same interests, the same shared passions, they blend in, and it becomes very difficult for us to see who are the fakes and who are real. And they estimate that 2025 scams, romance scams, are going to increase at least by 20%. So this makes us to where we need to be extra vigilant. Financial losses are staggering, and it's very, very difficult for some people to be able to retrieve those losses. But, and this is what gets me, and this is where I come in, the emotional toll is often worse. According to the Federal Trade Commission, there are over 70,000 reports of romance scams in the U.S. in 2024. And most of these reports, nearly 60,000, involve victims who lost money. Victims who experienced profound psychological harm, including feelings of betrayal, humiliation, isolation, which can spiral, and did spiral on many of them, into anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. From the psychological standpoint, the distress is so severe that in one UK study, 12%, 8,400 of romance scam victims attempted suicide. Alarmingly, about 3%, 2,100, they actually took their lives. The shame and the stigma make it even harder to seek help, which is why open communication and support is so crucial. It's just, it has to be there. We have to have a better understanding for the victims, and we have to have a better understanding as to how to prevent this. Okay? To better understand the scale and the impact of these crimes, it's important to consider a new recent finding from the Identity Theft Resource Center from August 24 to July 25th. The ITRC assisted 4,122 victims who reached out for help with identity theft, fraud, and romance scams, and as well as those seeking information on identity protection. In August of 2025, the ITRC conducted a survey by emailing a representative sample of these individuals, and 4% responded. 4% of the people responded to answer this online questionnaire. The result is deeply disturbing and concerning. When the victims were asked directly if they had experienced anything that led them to consider self-harm or suicide, an overwhelming 67.8% said that they had. It's growing, okay? And we need to try to find a way to help the victims, okay? And to also make our fandom's communities a safer place. It's not just the financial loss, it is the emotional and mental consequences that devastate lives, families, and communities. One question that's been asked to me is, because of my fan base to Chicago 1 series, why doesn't Dick Wolf, or do you think Dick Wolf doesn't do anything about this? Do you think that Wolf Entertainment, I'll tell you right now, everything I know, they work proactively. They care very much about their fans because their fans are why they're here. So yes, but here's the thing we have to consider. Every single day, 20 at minimum 25,000 romance scam pages pop up. 25,000 every single day. That is more than 9 million a year. I don't think Facebook or Instagram had intended for their sites to be used this way, and maybe they could put some more precautionary or I don't know, something to kind of curb that. But here's the other thing we need to realize. A lot of the people who build these sites do it under a different name. Once they have the site in place and it's been accepted, they go in and change the name. It's very important for us as fans to go to that About page if you can access it, because some of the scammers are now deactivating it. But if you can go in and look at the About page and you can go and click on Transparency, you can see if they had changed their name. You can also see what country their origin is out of. And if you see a Jason Begay site that says it's from Nigeria or China, Japan, Vietnam, guys, we've got to be a little bit more intelligent here and realize that that's not Begay. Okay? Up until recently, I think September, I think the site was actually created, but then, unveiled in September. I think it was created when I was looking at a little bit of the transparency. I think it was created in July and then rolled out in September. He has one Instagram site. Okay? But you have to, as a fan, go in and take the time and review some of this stuff. Now, only about 10%, which means are reported, which means millions remain active. Okay? So Facebook and Instagram remove millions of accounts each year, but the problem continues to grow. Okay? It's just that simple. It's a way for many people criminals, very intelligent criminals, to make money. So they're going to do this, okay? The other thing, too, is that these scammers are not lone wolves. There might be some that are flying solo, but they are organized crime syndicates with specific roles. Some create fake profiles, others handle relationships, others write scripts, others manage the stolen money. They research their targets carefully. They build trust over weeks and months. They use advanced emotional manipulation, like love bombing and gaslighting. And by the time the victim realizes that they are being scammed or have been scammed, it's too late. I mean, this is, they're very intelligent, okay? And they learn from each other, and they learn from us as well. There are ways that we can protect ourselves, and there's programs that we use in real world that we can transform into our virtual world. One of those is stranger danger, danger stranger. You know, I mean, we grew up with that. Some of us did. Now, it is true that when it first started, only 1 to possibly 2% of child abductions and assaults were done by strangers. 98 to 99 were done by a family member, a close personal friend, a close neighbor, somebody that the child was taught to trust, somebody at camp, somebody in the church. And now today that's grown because of human trafficking to 24%. Or 26%, I'm sorry. And then 74% are done by family, friends, people that the child has been taught to trust. But when you get into the virtual world, no. I mean, most of the people out there, unless they're actually close personal friends that you know in real life, and some people through the websites do become close personal friends, but everybody is a stranger. And you really need to kind of take that into consideration and put that whole stranger danger to work, okay? Another program that we had, which I was involved with and I kind of enjoyed, was the whole neighborhood watch. I mean, we had a group. We would go around. We didn't have cell phones back then. We had walkie-talkies. We had flashlights. And we would walk the neighborhood, report anything suspicious, something that looked out of place. The fandoms, the community groups, where we go, there are new online neighborhoods. There are virtual neighborhoods. So it is up to us to utilize the Neighborhood Watch program and to keep an eye on everybody, not just ourselves, but if you're in there and you see somebody reaching out going, like, I'll use my name, "Hey, Joe, I tried to send you a friend request and it wouldn't go through. Can you send me a request and I'll accept it?" If it were me right away, I would be answering to that person in very big capital letters, "Scammer alert." Here's the thing. If I were to send them a request and then something did happen, Facebook's going to look at all this, or Instagram, and they're going to see, hey, you reached out to this person. You friended them. Don't fall for that, okay? It's extremely important that you guard yourself. Okay, and if you see that happening to somebody, you can reply to the person sending them. I have done that, sending them that message, scammer alert. Okay, this will notify the admins or the moderators of the site to see what's going on. Hopefully, they'll read through it and they'll find that. And they can ban the person that is doing that. So, we have to be able to police ourselves, kind of way to put it. Another program that I really like that was brought out in the 1990s and used when I was in the school systems, working in the school systems, is called the GREAT program. It's called the Gang Resistant Educational Awareness Training. And, I really liked it because it enabled the kids to use critical thinking. They were able to be resilient and community responsibility, teach them how to kind of spot suspicious gang activity and stay away from it. The other thing I really liked is the fact that it built a bond because it was taught by either the police liaison officers at the school or the gang officers, the gang task force officers. So it built that bond and that relationship so that the 5th and 6th graders had this trust for these law enforcement officers, and they had somebody that they could reach out to if they needed to. So the GREAT program we can implement here because of the fact that these are gangs. These are criminal syndicates. They may not be hanging out on Kilbourne and Maple. They could lose their spot there, but they can go online into one of the little communities and hustle there. So, we need to keep that in mind. Verify new contacts, set personal boundaries, maintain healthy skepticism. See, I'm very human. So here's what some of the things we can do too. The people who are admins of these sites, take time to look through your members. Okay, if you see you have 15 Jason Begays or 15 Kenny Taylor, Taylor Kenny, any of them, okay? Because they'll switch their names around too, okay? And there are certain people who will use the same names over and over. John Williams is one. And if you start seeing that, block them, okay? Get rid of them. It's not who they're saying it is. And they'll try to come into your gang, your group under a different name. And then once they're in and once you've accepted them, then again, they're going to change their name. Okay, so take the time to look through your membership. See who is your members. Look through the chat. Look for red flags. Look for scammer alerts. You can host webinars and workshops on scam awareness, support victims. If you know of somebody, if somebody's reached out to you and said, hey, I'm a victim, this happened to me, take that seriously and support them. There's a lot of different things that we can do. And for you as an individual, if you have been scammed, if you want to report it, save the messages, save the screenshots, save the profile links, report it to the platforms, report it to like the Federal Trade Commission. You can reach out to me through the Living Tree Company, and I would be more than happy to direct you to somebody who would be able to assist you. Okay? We have got to support the victims. They need our compassion, not our judgment. We need to create an environment where sharing experience is safe, stigma-free. we need to work together. They started awareness and prevention programs in Australia, and they have seen a 54% decrease in romance scammers. We need to get to there. I mean, we need to really proactively help each other. But when you're doing this, do this in a respectful way, okay? Sometimes the person might not be a scammer. Sometimes the person is attached to a scammer group, a scammer nest. And sometimes the person is just has a mental illness themselves. And so we don't want to push that person so hard that they themselves would consider taking their own life. Just be careful, be respectful, be kind, but be watchful, not only of yourself, but to others that are in there, okay? Report suspicious activity, support the victims, foster open communications, conversations. Let's make our fandoms safe, welcoming, and resilient. The best way for you to do it is to educate yourself, help others. Now, part of the reason that I'm doing this is because recently there was a young woman claiming to be Jason McGay's daughter. And I'm not going to name any names, anything like that. And one of the questions that was presented to me was, why doesn't Jason McGay put a statement out? Why should he? Has he ever stated that he has a daughter? If you are a true fan of Jason McGay, you would know he has 2 sons. He's never claimed to have a daughter. But this particular individual, and this is kind of, in my eyes, where she crossed the line, and my heart as well. She told a young girl that she should commit suicide. And she was very descriptive as to how she should do this. And then she told the young girl's mother that her daughter should commit suicide. I don't care where you're from. I don't care if you're from Russia, Germany, the Ukraine, China, Japan, Hustle Kingdom out of Nigeria, Vietnam, or in Ashland, Massachusetts. You don't have any right or any reason to tell somebody that they should commit suicide, or to tell their parent that their child should commit suicide. There are laws against that. That just puts you on my map, sweetheart. And it's time for us, as the fans, to take some action, to educate ourselves. Because this situation doesn't belong to Wolf Entertainment. It doesn't belong to any of the actors, the stars, the crew. When I was going through natural health and holistic training to get my degree, one of my degrees, there was a quote that just stuck with me. And it was, prevention is worth more than a cure. If you know what the situation is, like maybe you have a certain genetic component that runs in your family, you can take healthy steps. You can take holistic steps to prevent you from getting that. And you would not need a cure. We're to the point where we do need a cure for this, but we need to start with the prevention. The prevention is worth more than the cure, because if we can prevent it from happening, we have a chance to get a handle on it and to stop it. But that falls onto us as the fans. That is our responsibility. So I'd like to thank you for watching this. Please visit the Living Tree Company. Check me out. Reach out to me. There's a place in there that you can actually send me a little note. It's private. Nobody sees it. I'm here to help you in any way I can. I'm here to help educate you, to support you. Stay safe. Stay connected. Let's protect each other, because together is how we're going to be strong. Thank you for watching this, and stay safe. God bless. Joe Kearns signing off.